Some children are afraid of the dark. Some children are afraid of clowns. But other children are afraid of the water. However, Bethany was afraid of the light. She was afraid and utterly fearful of the light. She'd go running every time she would see the bright light shining through her windows. She was so scared, she'd run and hide under her bed. Her parents didn't really understand her fear of the light. They oftentimes thought she outgrew it, but this fear has been with her for as long as they can remember. One day, the mother got very concerned, for her daughter Bethany has been in her room the entire day, not even coming out for food or restroom breaks or anything, just in her room. The mother got more and more worried, more and more concerned. She finally decided to talk to her daughter, to try and get her out of the room. She knocks on the door, worried, and says, "Bethany, are you okay? You haven't left your room for the whole day," she states with worry and concern. "You're making your mother very concerned." Despite her concern and her worries, her daughter didn't even bother to answer the door, not even trying to open it. Then, next day, she got even more concerned. She decided there was no more time to continue to talk to her daughter. She had to get into the room. She had to find out what was going on. She opened the door and tried to find her daughter. But she was nowhere to be seen. She tries and tries, but nowhere. Until she sees a note that says, in very almost jagged letters, as if whoever wrote it was writing it very fast. "It's coming. The light. It's on its way. I need to run before it gets me." The mother was confused by this, but then later, she ends up finding her daughter, who was hiding under her bed. When she does find her daughter, she tries to take her out of bed, telling her and urging her that she has to go to the light. She has to see the light. Unfortunately, Bethany was so afraid. She cried and begged that her mother doesn't take her to the light. But it was too late. The mother opens the curtains, and then the light comes. And when it comes, it hits her. And when it hits her, unfortunately, it takes her away. Takes her away from everything, from everyone. She cries and screams. But in reality, that was all in her head. She was lost. She didn't know what to do. She looked at her mother, who was now nothing more but a figure. Couldn't even make out her face anymore due to the bright, shining light. The mother didn't even try to hug or comfort her. All she did was just look at her daughter, calmly, yet sad. After a while, the mother became nothing more than smoke. The daughter feeling both traumatized, scared, confused, sad, pained, all of these terrible feelings that welled up inside her chest. She was trying to figure out why this was happening, why her mother didn't save her, why her mother didn't try to take her away from the light. Why didn't she listen? She's afraid of the light. Why? Why? She asked herself. Why? It seemed endless. This pain Bethany was feeling felt utterly endless. Then, finally, everything fades into nothing, including Bethany's vision. We then turn to the hospital. We realize Bethany is no longer in her own home, no longer in her bed, but in a different bed, a hospital bed. We realize that Bethany's mother is sobbing, sad, distraught. We also realize that Bethany is no longer looking as healthy as she was before. Eventually, a doctor comes in with a somber expression on his face. He speaks with a clear yet soft voice. Have you said your final words to her? Or do you need more time? He was very understanding and generous of this situation. But the mother just quietly shakes her head, her face scrunched with emotional pain and sadness. The doctor nods. He walks over to the heart monitor and takes everything off. This was a realization that the only thing keeping the daughter alive was that machine. As her breathing ceases and her chest stops moving, her lungs no longer taking in any air or oxygen, the mother sobs and cries, feeling utterly lost, utterly defeated. The doctor then writes down on his clipboard, his eyes almost watering, hearing the mother's pitiful yet sad cries. The cause of death: firearm misuse, unable to do blood transfusion, bled to death. Description: young girl found a loaded and unlocked gun in her parents' room under their bed and accidentally shot herself in the stomach, thinking the gun was a toy. The doctor finishes his report and leaves for a moment to give the mother a moment to grieve. He shakes his head as he leaves the room. He thinks to himself, that gun, it was meant to be for protection for a family. But instead, it ended up being the death of one of their youngest.